The First Amendment of the Constitution protects against government censorship of individuals. The First Amendment, though, does not protect entertainers who say crass or thoughtless things. Yeah, it does. What are you talking about?
In the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder, we've actually had a very interesting discussion arise about free speech in this nation, because we've actually seen people fired and losing their jobs for making some very stupid comments about Charlie Kirk and the murderer himself. So before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
But let's not bury the lead. Let's just get first into the stunning, breathtaking level of hypocrisy about cancel culture, because apparently cancel culture, and then I do want to get into how complicit the left is in, because nothing happens in a vacuum, and we'll get to it there. What?
You and I are not that far apart on what's going on.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does seem like cancel culture is really not about left or right. It's just about who has the power. And if you have the power, you can do it. Somebody on your network got shit canned.
I think the official term was let go.
Okay, this is... Matthew Dowd said you can't be saying these awful words and then not expect awful actions to take place. Yes, you can. I do expect that. I do not expect awful actions to take place. I think this is awful when you open this window. Like, I didn't like what he said, and what he said was vile and this and that. Irrelevant. Irrelevant. We don't shoot people in this country, and we don't defend it, and we don't mock it.
So, of course, this was the initial reaction from many on the extreme left. And we're still seeing that today. People going out there and celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder. All right. But you have Matthew Dowd over on MSNBC making some very stupid comments about Charlie Kirk. Oh, he was hateful, and therefore he shouldn't expect not to be punished for those hateful words. And actually, let me go ahead and play you that clip right now to make sure we're all on the same page about what actually happened.
The full details of this, we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up on what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
Yeah, that's completely ridiculous. You should be able to say whatever you want and not be afraid of violence from other people or, of course, oppression from the government. That's the whole purpose of the First Amendment. And yes, we know we actually have limits on the First Amendment, but that's not what Charlie Kirk was doing. And this person, Matthew Dowd, faced the consequences of his own words because MSNBC chose to fire him because this take was so stupid. And nobody really complained about that at all. But then, of course, Jimmy Kimmel happened. And now all of a sudden we have a free speech issue, and I'll explain why after we get back to Bill Maher's segment.
Free speech is not absolute. Yeah. I have a list. You can't slander, libel, direct threats, porn, copyright infringement, inciting violence.
Put all that on the
we
internet.
Can't do any of that.
Think about when AI
not what Jimmy Kimmel did.
Yeah, and I think we're missing a little bit of the point. The President of the United States said explicitly, Jimmy's next. And then his FCC chair went out and channeled his best Goodfellas impression and said, we could do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. I mean, without the accent.
Well, what is the hard way, by the way?
And ABC caved. ABC caved because ABC had caved before, because Bob Iger had already paid Trump effectively $15 million as an apology for something George Stephanopoulos said.
So just to put this into context, Jimmy Kimmel actually came out and implied that Charlie Kirk's murderer was, in fact, a MAGA supporter. And of course, after that, Jimmy Kimmel himself gets fired by ABC. However, we have to remember, his ratings were incredibly low. I actually made a video a couple of days ago saying that, oh, Jimmy Kimmel's numbers were like 2.7 million. Well, it turns out I was probably wrong, because over here you can see from the New York Post that Jimmy Kimmel apparently was getting just 1.1 total million viewers in August of 2025. That's down 43% from January. Okay, and I've also heard some reports that possibly it was just in the hundreds of thousands according to Nielsen ratings. So in my mind, it seems like ABC was just looking for a reason to unload Jimmy Kimmel, and he gave it to them. Okay, but the problem with this entire scenario is you have the FCC chairman Carr coming out and making some very stupid remarks, in my opinion.
And some changes that we've seen, but frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
So this, of course, was before Jimmy Kimmel actually got fired. But that one stupid sentence brings everything under suspicion. Jimmy Kimmel had enough reason to be fired simply because of his performance. All right. And the timing just happens to match up that he said these stupid comments, and that opens the door for ABC. Then you have Carr saying, hey, easy way or hard way. And that gives the left footing to say, see, the FCC was pressuring ABC to do this. And if, in fact, that's true, I am 100% against it. However, ABC has not said that. So this is all, in my opinion, an unfortunate coincidence. And that, of course, opens the door into the free speech issues.
I mean, these people do not understand free speech at all. I mean, listen to Mike Pence. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects against government censorship of individuals. The First Amendment, though, does not protect entertainers who say crass or thoughtless things. The fuck yeah, it does. What are you talking about? This has always been my thing. I never believed in the concept of hate crimes or hate speech. It's a thought crime. We didn't used to have it. They changed it, the liberals. And, so I've always been what I think, doesn't matter what side. Hate speech does not exist legally in America, says Charlie Kirk. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech, and all of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free. Could you guys at least honor the person you're insisting that we honor by honoring his words? But here's Pam Bondi. There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. No. Hate, that's the whole point, is that free speech means we defend the speech we hate. The standard test is Nazis marching in Skokie, a town full of Holocaust survivors. The Supreme Court says you can do that. If that's not right up to the line on what were the direct threats and inciting violence, that is right up to there. And they said, no, if you want to have a country with free speech, you let them. And this guy's talking about crass comments.
And this, of course, is the big idea. What's the purpose of free speech? It's to stop government oppression, right? Say whatever you want outside of course, the things that Bill Maher actually mentioned, and you're fine. The government cannot do anything to you. However, of course, in our leftist society, words have become violence, and that's what they used to basically justify murdering Charlie Kirk. However, the same thing does not apply to companies. They can fire you as long as they're not discriminating against you, right? So when you look at Matthew Dowd or you look at Jimmy Kimmel, they were basically going to hurt the brand of MSNBC and ABC. Okay, so yeah, get rid of them, no big issues. But free speech, right? The left here does have a point, right? Especially when it comes to Pam Bondi and Donald Trump saying some actually very dumb things about the First Amendment.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Charlie said, that there was no such thing as hate speech. He obviously, no one anticipated what happened to Charlie, but you have always been.
So this, in my opinion, is the second big fumble of the Trump administration, right? First, we have the Epstein files and how that was handled. And now, of course, you actually have Pam Bondi bringing up hate speech. This is something the right has been fighting against, right? Hate speech is not a thing. You have free speech and you have oppression. As soon as you start to try to introduce hate speech, that opens the door for the government to oppress you. And guess how the left would classify every single thing Charlie Kirk actually said, right? That's why they're still out there celebrating his murder in all of the lefty corners of the internet. And it is actually disgusting and a little bit scary, okay? But for Donald Trump to come out and say, well, maybe Charlie Kirk would change his mind about that now. Charlie Kirk was 100% conservative American. There's no way he would have stood for this. So like I said, I think this is the second misstep of the Trump administration. And I am still a Trump supporter, but I support the Constitution even more. First Amendment, Second Amendment. Those must be upheld above anything else. And what happened to Jimmy Kimmel was not a First Amendment violation. What happened to Matthew Dowd, not a First Amendment violation. That was them being let go from their companies for hurting their brand and not bringing anything to the table. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description, where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.